So my husband contacted me and he said, I was going into work that day and he said, let's go to a bike night. And my first reaction was like, why? Why do you want to go to a bike night? And, I got to thinking about it. And bike nights are such a funny topic because some of them, I've been to a couple that have been really cool. And then I've been to a few where it's like, what am I even doing here right now? And so I think there's a lot of different experiences where some you kind of give a big eye roll, and then some are actually pretty cool.
So what was special about the one that you were going to that Jen wanted to go to? Why?
That's a good question. I think that we hadn't been to a bike night in a long time. We hang out at the Dragon all the time, but the bike nights are typically in cities or at least larger towns. And so Knoxville typically hosts a couple. And so Cycle Gear had one coming up, and there were a bunch of people that we know who typically go to that bike night. And we didn't have anything going on that evening. And so he said, well, why don't we go, grab a bike. One of our neighbors had never been to a bike night, and he's a 17-year-old kid who rides. And so his bike's broken. So Jug gave him our DRZ to ride, and we headed over there. And then, so it was basically to see people that we know and just to give us something to do. And so that's basically why we ended up there. And it was at Cycle Gear, and I had never been to one at Cycle Gear before. And so I was really interested just to see how it would go, because I know there's Cycle Gears across the country that do bike nights.
We have one here too, in Alpharetta at the Cycle Gear that hosts one, and I've been meaning to go, and I just never get around to it because it's at 6 o'clock after work in the middle of rush hour, and it's the idea of going down there on a motorcycle in gridlock traffic just doesn't excite me at all. But I am really curious to see what it's about, because they usually are hosting an event. They'll have giveaways, they'll have a barbecue cookout. So, and that's the thing, I've gone to the two different kinds of bike nights. There's the ones that are put on by a shop, which is actually an event, whether it's just their monthly thing, or for Moto America, they'll do a bike night at a local shop near the racetrack that they're racing that month. Or if a new shop is opening, I've gone to one in California for Ace Cafe. That was a huge one. I didn't really know anyone though, so it was kind of I felt really lonely. It was weird. But yeah, and at the same time, I've done bike nights with the locals, at the local bar, and you just meet up and shoot the shit, and half of them don't even come on bikes because we're there to drink and hang out. So I'm is that really a bike night then? Or is it just friends meeting up, at the bar? So I'm trying to figure that one out still.
Yeah, I'd say bike nights in Atlanta used to be a huge deal. It was Thursday nights, everyone met up at Fellini's in Buckhead, and then everyone moved to Vortex. There was also a group that stopped at the Varsity, and now I think bike nights are on Tuesday nights, and they're over at Victory. But I would say back in the day when they used to be the Fellini's, and then because people would ride, we'd meet up somewhere, and then we'd all ride together to Fellini's, grab a piece of pizza, hang out there for a bit, and then we'd all ride down to, it was the Inman Park area where the Vortex used to be. It's no longer there. And everyone would show up, and it was a lot of fun because we rode to a few different places. So it wasn't just hey, just meet at this place and let's hang out. It was, hey, let's meet and we'll kind of ride together to these various places. So there used to be some epic bike nights in Atlanta. However, I have not done it in a really long time. And same thing, the nights. I think it was like a meetup at like 6 or 7, but really it ended up being like 8 and then 10. And then I know that there was a group of folks that would go over to like a stunt place near Six Flags and do stunts later on.
Oh, man.
So there was a huge scene. But I haven't been to a bike night in a bit. I have done the Victory one, which is cool and chill, but it's very different than how they used to be.
Oh man, yeah, I bet a bike night at downtown Atlanta. I bet that's wild. I've never been to one of those, and it's kind of weird. Like, I guess I've never been to like a real like bike night with like a ton of motorcyclists from the city. I don't know what it is. It's like I've never been interested to go to one. I'm kind of a solo rider, and I've always associated bike nights with like mob rides and group rides, and that could be completely way off base, and I may have a completely wrong perception about it. So maybe I need to go experience that and see if it's different than what I thought it was.
Yeah, I think they're just so all across the board, because there's the Cycle Gear one that I went to. I think it was similar to your experience, where it's, at 6 o'clock, it's right after work, you're in rush hour traffic, and, you're not really riding anywhere cool. But the bike night had slow bike races, and so that was fun to watch. And so that's really cool. And they did a raffle, and of course it's fun seeing people that everyone went to Twin Peaks afterwards for burgers, and I think that aspect is fun. But I went to Motorcycles on Meridian in Indy during the MotoGP.
Oh, yeah. How was that? I missed that. I was so mad. I actually wanted to go to that.
Yeah,
we did that, Anna.
We missed it. Remember, we got there and it was like after the fact. We didn't get there till like 9 or something, because we were still traveling. We were still on the road when it was happening.
Yeah, that was wild. So
yeah,
we took our pit bikes, which aren't street legal at all. And like the funny thing is, it was like literally anything goes during Motorcycles on Meridian. All the cops are out there, and they don't care if people are doing wheelies. They don't care who's on street legal bikes or doing donuts in the middle of the street. Like it's literally like no rules or laws at all. It's crazy.
Okay, I just had a total brain fart. Laura, you're right. Motorcycles on Meridian, Indy. I'm thinking of Laguna Seca.
Okay,
that one.
I was like, Anna, I don't know where you were, but I was there.
Yeah, I was apparently drinking way too much. No. Okay, I remember walking that. That was some insane sightseeing. You're right. And
no helmets.
Because that's Indy. Like they don't. Yeah, I don't think helmet law is in effect there. But God, I mean, those bikes were crazy though. They were so entertaining to see, like all the different types of choppers, and man, people put so much love into those bikes. It was more of like, forget bike night. It was like bikes on display. It was so cool to see such different versatility of them. Like I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah. Some good people watching there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think I've got pictures like just sitting on some of like the wild looking bikes that are out there. It's just festive. Everyone's excited about MotoGP. Yeah. I would say that one is my favorite one. I feel like the other bike nights seem tame in comparison.
Okay, so let's talk about it. What would be a reason for people to go to a bike night? What would they expect to get out of it? Like, my thought is, if I'm a new rider, and honestly, the reason why I went to those bike nights was to meet people. It was before I really utilized social media to meet folks. So, I think that maybe things have changed.
That's a
in
good
that
question. Yeah, because back when you started writing, social media wasn't that big of a thing, like to
No.
meet people in a community and to do the similar things that you have in common. I mean, it was to a certain degree, but I don't think it was as big as it is now. Like now we have so many different groups on Facebook, like different types of motorcycle groups. So yeah, for sure, going to a bike night, if you're a new rider, it's to feel out the waters, see, meet new people that are into the same sport and get introduced to it. Like, that's for sure. I mean, number one reason I would think. We had a couple bike nights here near my house, and again, and I remember I did go to them when I was a new rider with my husband. We'd go and meet the local riders, and then that's how I got into like riding up on Blood Mountain and all these other roads. And so you kind of like get in contact with those people, and they come bring you along and introduce you into the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the friendship aspect is helpful with the bike nights, but I think part of me just doesn't get excited about them because I think in the past, like I've gone and it's not all bike nights are like this. Some of the ones I went to when I lived in Asheville were this way, but it's like you go and people just bring their bikes and they're just showing off, and it's kind of like an ego thing. And
it's kind of intimidating, like when you're a female, like yeah. I don't think I would ever show up alone, like especially as a new female rider. Like, talk about intimidating and not really knowing what to expect and how to interact with with the people. It's so different, it's such a different thing. Like you said, lots of guys will show off, and like it's kind of weird.
They're just kind of with their crew, and yeah. So I feel like early on, especially like I think there was like an intimidation factor, but I feel like if bike nights had something that they promoted where I was like, oh, like that's really cool. That's something that that I would want to participate in. And I was trying to rack my brain to think, okay, well, what would really make me want to go to a bike night other than just having friends that go? And I think if they advertise something like, if, for instance, like say that the team from Motul came to the event and they were going through and doing like a presentation or a demo and like sharing knowledge, and you got to speak directly with them, or if it could be like a helmet brand, or it could be one of the manufacturers, or if they had like demos at the bike night, that would definitely make me want to go. If I knew I could do like a demo ride, or even just like ride around on something cool, or if it was like something educational that I could learn about. The slow bike races are cool. I feel like all the bike nights have slow bike races though, so maybe they could switch it up with something a little different with that. But yeah, just I don't know, or even if they had like some sort of food truck or food vendor that sounded really good, that would help.
Oh yeah, if there's food, I'm in.
What's funny? I've never been to a bike night that has slow bike races or is at a Cycle Gear or has some sort of motorcycle official component to it. It's more of go to a restaurant, let's all meet up together and go somewhere else. And so it's more of a a bike ride rather, that goes to a place. So, from my perspective, I don't know. I don't know whether, I think the only thing that would pull me out would be, potentially if there was demo bikes or something really exciting. But otherwise, like, I do think if I'm going to go to a bike night, then more than likely I know one or two people and I'm looking just to hang out with them, and then meet other people while I'm out. But I'm not necessarily looking for some sort of motorcycle presentation.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I guess like the reason why I don't go to bike nights anymore is I like to ride. I mean, yes, we all love to sit around and talk about our bikes, but after a while, there's only so much you can say or want to say about it. Like, you just want to ride. And like you said, Laura, like, I don't mind, once in a while, like grabbing you ladies and going somewhere and, checking it out. But yeah, as a weekly thing, I'm just not into it. And I mean, it could just be because during the work week, I'm exhausted. I put in, a full work day and I've got family and I've got, all sorts of responsibilities. So maybe maybe that is a big factor, for me. Like, it's just by the time 6 p.m. rolls around, I'm exhausted. God, I feel old right now.
I'm the same way though. I did have
Don't listen to me, kids. Don't be like me.
Well, I'm in the same boat. The three of us are the same age. Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, you get done with work and it's like, I gotta like gear up and go to this. But yeah, it was just so funny because I never really thought about, okay, like what is it that makes me not want to go to a bike night until I actually had the opportunity to go to one, and just trying to figure out what's keeping me from wanting to do this. I think the ride aspect is big because I think every time, well, not every time, because there's been times in the off season, I think we've just done fun stuff when the weather is cold. But outside of that, the three of us meet up. We meet up to ride. Like, we go on adventures, or we go to the track, or we're like out there doing something and exploring.
And you just hit something on the head there for me. I think most of the bike nights that I've gone to were either for a specific event, whether it was, like I said, a store launch or a Moto America race. But the ones that I've been to just for, for fun to socialize have been kind of outside of riding conditions, whether it was literally it's springtime, it's the first warm night, and it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to get on the bike and kind of like reconnect with these people. Because, I mean, let's face it, like, if your majority of riding buddies, like, you're just riding buddies, you see each other out only when you're on the bike. We're best friends, so we see each other all the time. We talk to each other all the time. But, I have like a massive group of riding buddies that I only see during riding season. So a bike night is great to meet up with those people. And I am more jazzed about that, like at the beginning of the season, or if it's still like winter and cold and we get like a warm day and someone's like, hey, let's, they're throwing a bike night. I'm like, all right, sure, I'll dust off the cobwebs and let's go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it is something, it's got to be special, like for, a reason. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to see you on the hill.
So I was trying to think back about when I went to bike nights. Why did I go? And I think that there were two reasons. One is I was a new rider, so I only know a few people. So it was a way to meet people in the local community, and I did enjoy hanging out. And number two, I mainly rode in the city. I didn't ride as much in the mountains. And so, on the weekends I'd ride around the city, but, why not just switch my riding from on a Saturday to a Thursday night to go hang out, and everyone's out and about. So I think that all aligned. And then when I started going to the mountains, I'm like, well, I'm going to the mountains on the weekends. I can't also add Thursday night bike night to it. That's too much time that I don't have to give. So I think that there are, it just depends on what kind of rider you are as well. And as Sarah hit on it, that, we go to the mountains, we do a lot of adventures. And so, the weekends are spent for that. I'd say that there's one exception that, outside of bike night, or they're not a night, you have like now these mornings, these like caffeine and octane and kind of car shows, sometimes car and motorcycle shows that have popped up, and they're Saturday or Sunday morning. And so, I always contemplate going to those in the morning, and I have done a few. But if it's a weekend and it's nice, I'm headed to the mountains. I don't want to go to a car and motorcycle show.
Same. I've done one or two of those caffeine and octanes because, well, yeah, it was something new. I had to check it out. But yeah, now that I've checked it out, it's like, and yeah, I'd rather go ride the mountains.
Yeah, and I can see there being it, although I wasn't super jazzed about going to it in the beginning, I am really glad that I went, because once I was there, I got to see these people that I know, and I feel like when I'm out riding, like the three of us will go riding, and we really have a lot of time to connect, and we all stay in the same place, and so we kind of decompress and talk and have that time together after riding. But other people, I really don't get that time to just talk about life and what's going on, and so it really provided a chance. I felt like it was the most I talked to some of those people ever, because we were off the bikes and just kind of standing around, and then went to dinner, and so that aspect was nice, and I can understand how that could really help new riders, especially, and the fact that, like, because I'm pregnant right now and there's so much motorcycling that I can't do, I really enjoy getting to be part of the motorcycling community without actually going on a ride.
I was gonna say, I bet for you, you're seeing this through a new set of eyes right now. So I bet it was fun to reconnect, because yeah, like you said, the last couple of weeks you haven't been able to ride, and you're getting to that stage in your pregnancy where you're probably not going to ride much anymore. So you're not going to see those people. So for sure, and yeah, I guess you're right. I do feel the same way, where a lot of times I meet up with people and we just say, hey, and then just keep go, we go ride. We don't really talk. So a bike night would be a great time to catch up with those people, just like at track after, at lunchtime or in between sessions. But I think I just realized I am really antisocial. So maybe that's my problem. I like just having the visor down. So maybe I need to get out more and go to a few local bike nights and kind of reintroduce myself into society again, because I've definitely felt like I'm just isolated. Like even lately when I go ride, I ride. I don't even stop anymore. Like I'll say hey, and because again, I like everyone. I know a lot of people on the mountain, but I'm there to ride, and I don't like really stop anymore unless I have to go pee or something.
Going back to bike nights, I think if I moved to a new city, I for sure would look up what bike night is around and go to it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the longer you're in this and the more you have solid friends that you typically ride with, then you don't necessarily, have time or are able or have the desire to go to new bike nights and meet new people.
I mean, for sure, looking back, when I was a new rider, like you said, if I moved to a new city, I probably would attend a bike night to, again, scope out the scene, because really that's all it's about. And then you make those long, connections, you make those friends, and you stay friends, and you ride together. So then after a while, the bike night may not be something you necessarily need to go to anymore, but they can be fun.
I'm curious if we're all kind of like settled and we don't necessarily go to bike nights, and who goes to bike nights? Like, I love to understand from folks watching this, right? In the comments, like, have you gone to bike nights, every time for the past few years? Because if I were moving to a new city, is it just all the new people who have moved to the city who are going to the bike night, or all the new riders that are showing up at bike nights? Like that, I would love to know.
And I actually got asked a few weeks ago, like not even a month ago, to go to a bike night here. We have a local one near my house, and I just don't go because I'm personally not fond of the bar that they go to. I don't like that bar. It's heavy smoking, which I'm not a cigarette smoker, and I just don't enjoy that atmosphere. But I feel really bad because I know a bunch of the people that go, and I like these people. I have no problem, would love to hang out, but the venue doesn't interest me. And again, it's after work, and I just can't fit it in generally. But So that being said, yeah, like those people go all the time, and it's their social. That's when they hang out. So again, maybe we're just not as social as we thought we were.
I think you hit on something about the location of the bike night.
Mhm.
You know, there's a few places here. There's one now, Victory, and it has a cool scene. It has a great parking lot. The food's okay. But I think sometimes they have bands.
Mhm.
So again, the atmosphere, the vibe is really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Like I think
fans.
I'm a big fan of good music or live music, bands, whatever. That would be fun to, just go have a drink, grab a bite, watch, listen to music and chit chat for like 2 hours. And like that sounds interesting to me, but I would do that anyway. Bike or no bike.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of them are starting back up, and at least here in Knoxville. And I'm not sure if that's because of COVID. Like maybe they weren't doing them for a while because of COVID, but like Cycle Gear, for instance, the one I went to the other night, that was their like kickoff one, and so they're just starting them up now. And so, yeah, and so actually, now that I'm not able to ride like I was, I actually may go more frequently. It's just a way to feel connected to the community that I love. And so when I can't be like on the bike, it helps with that connection. But I'm not sure if that's just a Cycle Gear thing or if other bike nights are starting up as well. But it would be fun for the three of us to go to one sometime, especially if it falls on the weekends.
I was going to say, I think we all need to go.
Yeah, and I don't even know how you find out about bike nights anymore. I mean, I'm guessing it's through social media and whatever, but like I know that some places used to have bike night in Atlanta and now they don't. And new places do, but like how do you find that new place?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I know I found out about the Cycle Gear ones through social media. And here in Knoxville, there's a place called Time Warp Tea Room, and they do, I think theirs are a different day of the week, but they do them. And that one we just found out about through word of mouth. But yeah, if you're new from the area, I guess maybe you'd have to ask at local dealerships or a local Cycle Gear.
Yeah, I would think dealerships would definitely be in the know-how.
All right, ladies. So I think we're headed to a bike night. We just got to figure out which one.
No bike races.
It's about time.